Hello there. Welcome back to the channel. Happy New Year. Welcome back to 2023. 2022 has been an interesting year, but honestly, so have the last couple of years. So, what should you be doing with your money in 2023? We're going to talk about 5 things that you should be thinking about doing with your money today. Number one, and I think the most important thing, build up your emergency funds or your emergency savings. Now, 2023 is bound to be a turbulent year because you've got half of Wall Street saying that there might be a recession, and you've got a whole slew of other pundits saying that no, we're in for a bullish time in the marketplace. Now, if you look at inflation, well, inflation has been heading in the downward direction. So things might be looking up, but you never really know. The majority of people that had a tough time during COVID didn't really have a lot of savings to rely on because they were living paycheck to paycheck. So I would absolutely urge you to start building up your emergency fund today if you haven't done so already. Even if it's just taking 5 to 10% of every monthly paycheck and putting it aside, you absolutely need to be putting money into your emergency savings or emergency fund. Now, typically, they say you should have between 3 to 6 months of funds. I would say go a little bit beyond that. Try and see if you can save up anywhere between 10 to 12 months in cash, not invested or anything, just liquid cash that you have access to today. This becomes extremely important because you just want to mitigate the risk of you losing your job or any other financial hardship or struggles coming your way. So, absolutely prioritize building your emergency savings today. Number two, and this is a no brainer, prioritize paying off high interest rate debt. So, you might have a couple of different types of debt. You might have home loans, car loans, credit card debt, or personal loans. Now, typically, credit card debts are usually the highest when it comes to interest rates. So, what I would absolutely urge you is to prioritize credit card debt or any of your high interest rate debt or loans first and start to pay them off. The way you do this is just literally sit down and note down the interest rate that you have for all the different types of debt that you currently have today. Now, if you don't have or if you don't know enough about what your interest rates are, call your banker, call the financial institution, call the bank that gave you that loan, ask them what is the effective annual percentage rate of that loan and get a better sense of how much you're actually paying in terms of interest for that loan. Because look, I mean, we don't really know, this high interest rate environment might stay on for a little bit more. So it's better to just pay off and get rid of that debt as soon as possible, or just try and bite into it as much as you can. Number three, now this might be a bit of a controversial one, but avoid large purchases, especially for things like cars and houses. Now, why do I say that? I have spoken to a lot of people that are looking to make pretty large purchases when it comes to maybe real estate or buying property, well, property is real estate, buying a car or maybe some other luxury item or jewelry or what have you. Now, the thing is, again, I go back to the same thing. 2023, 2022, the last 2 quarters of 2022 have been riddled with layoffs across sectors, especially the tech sector. So just be wary, right? Just be wary of any of the large purchases. And the other reason is because for a lot of these large purchases, unless you are a billionaire, well, even billionaires won't pay all cash, but for a lot of these large purchases, you will be going to the bank. And as I mentioned, we are in a very high interest rate environment right now. So when, for example, a couple of years ago for a home loan, you might be getting 3 to 3.5 or even 4% interest rate for your home loan. But in today's environment, they actually went up as almost as high as 7%. It's come down a little bit, but it's still in that 6 to 7% interest rate. And again, some of these loans for these large purchases would be or will be for almost 15 to 30 years. So you'll be stuck buying a house, or you'll be stuck with that high interest loan today for the next 15 to 30 years. Number four, coming in with another controversial one, stay invested if you are, or if you haven't, start investing in the stock market. All right. Why do I say that? Now, a lot of the stocks across a lot of the sectors have been beaten, Their prices are in the dumpster. So if you know enough about the stock market, about the stocks you're interested in, or the stocks that you're holding today, keep buying or start buying today, because for a lot of these stocks, so I'll give you an example. Again, I do hold a position in SoFi. Now, I'm extremely bullish on SoFi as a stock. However, right now it's in the 5.5, $5.7 range, when in fact it's 52-week high. It went up as high as $24 at one point. And for SoFi as a stock, because I know a lot about I'm extremely bullish about the future of that company, but there's nothing fundamentally wrong with that company today. However, the stock still got beaten just as the rest of the market did because of the overall sentiment of the market and investors feeling extremely bearish about stocks and equities in the first place. Now, I love Elon Musk, I love Tesla, but the EV market, the EV sector has been hit with supply chain issues, raw material issues. So it's even that market, for example, I think it's a great sector because I think that's the future. And in the next couple of years, I think it will come bouncing back. But in the short term, if that's what you're looking for, even though I'm invested in a couple of EV stocks like Lucid and Polestar and a little bit of Tesla, I'm still just going to hold on. It makes no sense for me to sell right now because I know eventually some of these issues related to supply chain and raw material issues will be solved and they will come back to where they truly belong. So start investing if you haven't. Of course, build your knowledge up. Stay tuned to this channel and we'll do a detailed video on what it takes for a beginner to invest. But do stay in the market. Don't leave the market because you are getting bargain prices for really good, solid companies today. And number five, last but not the least, if you have only one income source, you are one step away from poverty or homelessness. Now, I'm obviously exaggerating, right? Most people will have some sort of backup, but it's true that with one income source, you really are one step away from disaster. I think in 2023, one of the things that people should start doing is to start thinking about income stacking. Now, what do I mean when I say income stacking? Income stacking is essentially trying to build multiple sources of income while working a 9 to 5 job. And we'll do a separate video on what some of those different incomes are. In fact, millionaires have anywhere between 6 to 7 or almost 8 sources of income coming from stocks, coming from royalties, capital gains, capital appreciation, from business profits, from other investments, real estate, etc., etc. So definitely start thinking about how you can income stack and build multiple sources of income just so that you can start to build redundancy into your income stream. So if one income fails for whatever reason, you've got another one to fall back on, and another one, and another one. Now, these are just a few of the things that I think you should be doing and thinking about in 2023. And I know that everyone's financial situation is different, but again, things like creating an emergency fund, paying off debt, starting to build multiple sources of income. I mean, I think some of these are very basic things that people can start doing irrespective of their financial situation today. If you've started to do any of these, that's fantastic. Keep at it. Keep at it. We're not yet out of the woods. Markets could take a turn for the worse, thereby impacting companies and industries, leading to layoffs. Basically, what you're seeing in the technology sector with all these tech layoffs happening with Amazon and Microsoft and all the others that happened before them. So keep at it. We'll do a deep dive into investing as a beginner, and we'll go right from the start and we'll go all the way through. And who knows, I might even execute a couple of live trades just to show some of you how the entire end-to-end process works. But till then, stay financially lit.